Hey everyone, weekly market update. Less, there's so much has happened this weekend. Weekends for me are usually times where I just get off Discord, get off, uh, charts and spend time with the family. But I feel like every single weekend there's something new with the administration, right? So, for those that are not aware and watching this video for the first time, Trump basically took back what he said on Friday. Don't even know if he said it on Friday, but basically, the tariff exemptions on semiconductors, phones, chips, and whatnot, basically technology. Um, and he said that China would be getting reimbursed for everything they paid up from the 5th of April. Well, today he came out and said that no one is exempt from tariffs, right? So not even China, and it's just so confusing to be able to read this market. However, if you set up your trades, high time frame limits, and play it that way, it you will be successful than someone trying to trade technicals based on news on the lower time frame. All right. So I'll be going over the same three coins I usually do: Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol. We'll take a look at Sueie and Fartcoin again because I do think those two are strong, and then a few other coins that have been holding relatively well. There are so many coins that in the market that are holding strong, and like I said in the last video, and even to the people in Discord, I've just been trading the same coins over and over again. When you pick out two or three coins that you continuously trade, you understand the levels, you understand, how the coin trades, and it's just easier for me. That's what I've been doing the past few months. I've just been trading, two or three coins majorly because of the volatility, and that has been Sol and Sueie. So I've expanded um, to Fartcoin as well because the volatility is there. But let's just jump right into it. So here is Bitcoin's recap from the last video. I made the video here. So price came down and we actually got stopped by literally less than $20 before this ran and hit TP. Shit happens, right? But for those that are trading based off of clear retest, right? Here's the breakout, here's the retest. We closed basically on it, so we closed this above. You could have taken the long with stops below. That's what I should have done, and it hit TP perfectly. Now the short hit also perfectly. You hit the short around 85k. The DCA, like I mentioned, was around 85.5k, so this lowered your average down to there, and you got a 3% move. Okay, and again, like I said, if I were to give a trade, it will be given in the Discord only. If you guys are taking this, you guys are taking the risks by yourself. However, the setup is there. I will not be updating these in the Discord. I will just be claiming clout or taking the loss if it happens. I did take a few personal trades of these myself and others that I did not share. I will not be sharing every single trade that I take. But the short played out. Now I'm going to clean this from scratch. Well, not really because levels are still prevalent. Okay, so watch. Okay, I'm going to delete this, but this is your previous high, which I do think eventually will get tapped. But where did I take this level from? I don't remember what it was, but it's there. Um, this is still resistance here at 84.8 to like basically 85 to 85.5 is still resistance, which is this level here, this previous low around 85.2. If you keep playing that level, you will see nice reactions from it, right? This resistance up here, 88.3 to 88.5, is still valid. Now let's talk about market structure. With how right now the stock futures are green. I really don't know how the bond market's going to react to the news, but a few trades whenever they take place, are still valid. If you are a leverage trader, you want to see a retest of these previous highs. I still think we get 69.5K, which is an open trade that I've had for I think a month and a half now, waiting for that to hit. That is still a valid trade to take. But I am waiting for basically this trade to be taken. Okay, and I'm keeping this for however long it takes. We can draw fibs. The fibs have changed a little bit. Okay, but the 786 fib lies within this order block here, which is also support. So if price comes back down to, let's say, I think 77.7K, I will be buying or longing there down to 75K, with most likely daily stops below 73K and targeting back the highs of these ranges, or this range, not ranges. That is one trade where you can take. Obviously, like I mentioned, that 73 to 69K area is a good long to take. I won't be covering that again. I've covered it 4 or 5 times. And then here are the highs. If you see a sweep of these highs here and close below, that is your trigger with stops above this wick, whatever it created. Okay, so that is a conditional trade where you can take. If this is our range highs and this is, close to our range lows here, right? Then around this level where we had previously support turn into resistance, we broke out. Around 80K, you can see a reaction. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to go down here. This can come easily down to this 80K region again, like I mentioned back here. We didn't have a daily closure below and turn into resistance on the 80K, but if we do go below 80K and turn this into resistance, you will see a move down to that 77 to 74K level with wicks down to 69K, in my opinion. All right, so keep that in the back of your minds. This is a short conditional trade where it's going to be, like I said, stops above whatever wick is created. Now, this level is very important. Okay, I'm going to show you guys on a different chart really quickly. Okay. So we did break out of this falling wedge. Okay, we haven't retested the breakout point. I'm just putting that out there. But we did reject from the 786 fib. Now, this 88.5K, this previous lower high here, I'm going to make that blue so it's easier to see. Okay, so if we take a look at this line chart, right, we see lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower high, and then lower low. This is your last lower high. So if we get above here, then we have a bullish break of structure, come back down, right? Confirm a higher low, and then go up. This yellow box, this 92 to 95K region, I've mentioned it multiple times. No reason for me to go more in depth into it. But above this level, okay, then I am bullish for highs. Okay, but until we remain below this 92 to 95K level, I am a high time frame bear looking for lower. All right, it doesn't mean you can't be exposed in the markets and add spot positions to your portfolio. I've already been doing it. People that are just waiting for the full-time bottom and hopes that, to full clip down there, I'm sorry to break it to you, but you need to get your brain checked out because you're never going to get bottoms. So slowly start DCAing in if you believe in the long run the market goes higher. There's no reason you have to get a perfect entry. Just lower or ladder your bids in slowly. And if you think wherever the bottom is, then you can always add more to your position there. So the break of structure will confirm above 88.5K. Now, like I said, line charts are the best way to see this, and it excludes the wicks here. So around 87.8K is that break of structure confirmation. All right. That's what I'm looking for on Bitcoin. Really, I'm not this weekend. Like I said, this week's going to be very choppy, in my opinion. We don't know how um, the Nasdaq will react to the news, so it would be best to wait for those high time frame levels to hit than trying to chase entries or falling knives. All right. Now ETH here, this was the play that I gave. We perfectly tapped that order block, and at its highs, you got an 11% move up. Okay, the short setup still remains. We have supply zone. This is an SR point, so most likely shorts around 1765 till about 20-ish, 30-ish, with a 4-hour closure above 1845 does make sense. I will be personally taking that. So that is a valid trade still. But, okay, if this is a bullish divergence that I talked about last time, here is your higher high with a break of structure there into a higher low. We just put in a lower high. So if we cannot get back above this level, then theoretically we go back down into a lower low. Now, this play is still valid, the short, okay? Let me remove these really quickly. All right. So we still can reject along the trend line here, but if we are looking for longs, then there are two areas where we could long. Now, this order block only had around half the liquidity taken, so this I would probably go down here, and don't take this the wrong way. These are just scalps. I do believe if we do go to my, you know, level of Bitcoin where I think the so on so bottom is around 50K. I do think we go to 50K eventually. 50 to 36K is the levels that I have. ETH will be, at anywhere between $500 to $800. All right, that's where I plan to. I won't be here to share the entry with you guys, as I will be, trading away and retiring from the space of Discord calling, content creation. But anywhere between $500 to $800 is where I will be loading up on ETH in the long term. Now, scalps can be taken around 1472-ish, hopefully into the highs, stops below the wick. Now, this is a little bit riskier because we have lows that are waiting to be swept. Just like we had this low here where it was perfectly swept, right, with an SFP, same thing remains down here. You have these lows waiting to be swept. So my recommendation would be to go in very light at entry, wait for these lows to be swept, and then you can add more upon the reclaim of these lows with stops below whatever wick. If we close below these lows and turn it into resistance, then you cut out for a small loss. Okay, so this is a confirmation play. We are currently at resistance. This seems to be a deviation. So another short scalp can be, I'm not taking this one, but I'm sharing it like I mentioned with everything. Another short scalp can be, if we close like this, most likely a tight scalp down to there. Risky, this will most likely get stopped out, but like I said, I always share every single aspect of trading, whether it's shorts or longs, and this would most likely be a setup to take. Okay. Order blocks got hit perfectly on this, but I still, like I said, I am not bullish on ETH. Oh wow, this is my mood today, right? If I could share the hatred that I have for Commander Cheeto, this would be perfectly described in one picture. Enjoy it. Didn't know I had that there. Cool. Anyways, I'm not bullish on ETH until we get above this $2,200 level. Okay, so anything below that, just like anything below 92.5 to 95K on Bitcoin, is bearish for me on the high time frames for ETH. Okay. ETH is also one coin that I really do not plan to trade. It's a shit coin, so if it goes to zero, I'd be okay with it. Sol, another perfect long that I gave on the last video that I made. I think my video came out on Wednesday, but we came perfectly to that retest level. Okay, got a 22% move. Now, let's talk about some trigger plays. This trigger plays here, actually, let me just remove these. Okay. So Sol has been holding relatively well. And if you guys follow my Twitter, I explained why. Okay, not everything is given in the Discord. Sometimes the Twitter fam will get something. Most of the times my Twitter is for shit posting. Okay, so I mentioned on Twitter, and a few really close friends of mine on Discord. So Sol BTC, not only was it looking primed for a breakout, which it did, it had an inverse head and shoulders, and the technical targets was these highs here. All right. So while Bitcoin was going down, Sol was holding very strong, and then once Bitcoin pumped, this pumped much harder. All right. So the Sol BTC pairing was one indicator for uh, longs to be taken not just with Sol, but Sol meme coins as well, that Sol ecosystem. We saw Fartcoin go crazy, Popcat had a nice move, and then all these stupid meme garbage coins eventually did multiple, some did, multiple X's in a few days, others did like 50 to 80% in a few days. That is because Sol BTC was very strong. Now, we are under resistance here. This either is going to consolidate into, a bull flag, but if it does come back down into this area of demand, that would be a nice place to bid. Now, where does this correlate on the USDT pairing? Well, first things first, this short setup is still valid. Okay, it's a little bit high risk because as we saw how strong Sol is, this could easily rip through. So if you are taking this, it would only be a hedge position against your longs or your spot position. I wouldn't go net short on this play, but it is still valid. Short setup, this is also valid. It's a trigger play. Okay, so if we do come back down and turn this into resistance, then you will most likely short with stop somewhere above resistance here. Okay, tight stop, and then you'll target back down into these range low levels. Okay, now looking for longs, a few areas where I'm personally interested. Now this may not happen immediately, it may take some time, but we do have, let's go to a lower time frame so we can see this consolidation. You have a demand zone here, okay, which correlates to basically around here. If we were to take 4% drop, okay, around a 4% drop there, 5% drop. One area that is a good, place to bid would be this demand zone around 122-ish down to 119. That's one area where I'd be looking to scalp long. Okay, no swing trades, so scalp long. Stops probably below 117-ish. Okay, but like I said, I prefer high time frame trades, and that high time frame trade comes at these range low levels with this order block. This is where I would personally like to get long. Now, like I said, This weekend is going to be very choppy, so keep in mind we could have another flash wick to the downside, especially if Commander Cheeto opens his mouth and spews more bullshit. Just keep that in mind. Just play this next few weeks with lower position size. In my last video, I said it was actually before this tariff news of the 90-day pause that we would have more clarity moving forward, right? Well, I take that back. There's absolutely no clarity because no one knows what the fuck is happening in the markets. Even myself and a really good few other traders that I converse with, frequently, we have no idea what the fuck's happening. We can't read the charts as well as we once used to. But as long as you stick to these high time frame levels, you should be okay. Yes, you will take a lot more losses because it's a little bit more unpredictable. And like I said, the market does not like uncertainty. That's why we pumped when we had that 90-day pause, because we had at least a little bit um, more clear direction of what was going to happen within 90 days, but now we honestly don't, right? So if you are trading this market for the next 2 or 3 weeks, I would go in with half of normal position size, or a little bit less or a little bit more than that if you want to, but don't go full allocation because you will get wrecked. Okay, so shorts, long scalp, and swing long. Now lose this level, this 111 level, and turn into resistance just like we did here. We will most likely go further down. I do eventually want to see sub 80 SOL. If we do go to that 50k level, I do think we get it. But right now, we're just going to take it level by level, and this is your range to do so. Okay. If we don't get these longs, then you are looking for a flip of this resistance, which we never got. Right. This was just a reclaim of it, and then we went higher, but we never flipped it to support. I want to see a flip of support, and then at that point, I am longing, basically targeting these highs here. Let's go to an 8-hour. With stops somewhere below down here. I can't give that yet because we don't have price action developed fully, but that would be a conditional trade to take with, targets of 180. Right? So that's the SOL breakdown. Sueie. This is the trade that I gave in all the discords. Got a nice 3% move down. Well, not 3% move down. We actually went down to 205, but we closed around 214 after stops were hit. So got a nice 8% move down once that happened, right? And then this is the trade that I canceled. It was actually a perfect trade. Okay. Tapped it perfectly. Yes, I should have kept it open. It is what it is. I don't really, go back and be like, I should have done this. Or, once you're out of the trade, you're like, I should have kept it. I would have made so much more money. Once you're out of a trade, you are out of a trade. Move on. Okay. Don't get hung up. If you break up with someone in real life, you don't cry over them, right? If you do, seek help. But perfect trade. It's over. We move on. Now let's take a look. Leverage. Clean trade here. What are we going to do? We have a clear uptrend established, right? It would be a shame if we lost this trend line. Well, here's the trend line. We technically did lose it, but trend lines are the least important. I know a few traders live and die by trend lines, but they're not really important at all. Horizontals are much more important. This is going to be the important level that we must hold. Okay. Here is your range highs, basically. Okay. Deviation. I just like to make my charts colorful. So let's do it here as well. Deviation. deviation. Okay. If we do get back to around 250, that's where you could possibly be looking for shorts. Back down to the range lows. We did lose the trend line here, okay, for my ADHD people. We lost the trend line here, all right? We have a few areas where we could go long. Now we could draw some fibs, okay? This was the first area that I actually had in mind. It lines in perfectly with the golden pocket. You also have a perfect order block here. So this is one area where I would love to get long if we get a deeper retrace in the markets. And stops would be below 184-ish. Most likely a spot position here. There is a scalp opportunity to take over here. Now be careful with this one. Like I said, scalp should be with smaller than normal position size. Now, for those that don't understand drawings or charts, if I draw, this to here, doesn't mean we're going to go up there. If you're taking trades based off this video, you should know where support and resistance are, and taking profit is solely up to you guys. All right, but this is the potential setups that I'm, looking for on Sueie if we are to get it. Not only that, but this is an SR point. Okay. So this would be a scalp opportunity. Okay, shorts, and then eventually, once we get this push up into here, I won't be talking about that yet, but that's where I'll be looking to short. All right. Okay. That's what I'm looking for on Sueie. Could take some time to play out. Could even happen within the next few hours if Commander Cheeto says something, stupid. All right. The next level is honestly the 786 fib, which is an order block there itself. Okay, but we talk levels by levels. Now, if we go to a lower time frame, okay, we lost this trend line. If we do have a bearish retest of the trend line, that could be a possibility for a low time frame scalp, which would most likely lie within this area. Okay. But if you're looking at this, technically, we have, as long as we are above 205, we do have another higher low placed. Okay, so these shorts are going to be risky, and if you are taking these scalp shorts, just keep in mind that they are scalps for a reason. Okay. Right. Now, Fartcoin, everyone's favorite obsession as of late. Nothing's changed from the last update that I made. Okay, yes, there are new levels, but where I'd be looking to bid is this retest of this cup and handle neckline. So if I'm looking to buy spot, I'm looking to buy around 62 down to 47, 60 down to 40. This zone between these two red lines is where I will be adding to my spot position. But if we take a look at this clean chart, and we can take a look at a Bybit chart here. Let's go to a lower time frame. There is a good possibility that this could run from here. Right? You have a little falling wedge. It's risky, but a good area where it could come down to long. And by the way, this was a perfect retest of the previous highs. There's the highs, perfect retest, bounce from it. But this demand zone from 76 cents is a good area to most likely go long. Now, like I said, we are in an uptrend on this coin. Sol BTC is strong for now, but this would be a nice area where you could get into a long on spot position. If you are trading this with leverage, it's just very volatile, so keep that in mind. 10-cent variant, or almost a 10-cent variance, also risky, but I'm not adding to my spot position until we get to that neckline that I was talking about. But this could be a good long opportunity to take. Would also be another higher low in this area, and if I were to draw fibs from here, this low to there, right, perfect area with the 786 fib confluence. If you want to be safer, you can go down here. It's a little bit below, tighter stops. So 73.4 entry, and target that daily OB around $1 to $2.08. Okay, we almost got there. That could be a good shorting opportunity as well. Okay, I'd rather not short strong assets, but daily is going to close the bearish engulfing candle. An example of a few times this has happened. There's one, there's another one, there's another one, right? Here's another one. What happened after all these? We went down, and we're about to do it again, right? So just keep that in the back of your heads before, aping into Fartcoin. Doesn't mean we're going to dump, all right? Now, the last coin that I'll be going over again, and like I said, most likely when I do these updates, they're going to be the same coins for a while until I start trading something else. CRV. Okay. Clean chart. So what does this chart and Fartcoin have in common? Uptrend, downtrend, cup and handle, neckline, boom. Okay, well, this coin has been longer around than Fartcoin. Uptrend, inverse head and shoulders. This would not be a cup and handle because the handle fell more than 40 to 50% of the cup, but we are at a retest point of this cup and hand, or this inverse head and shoulders. Technical targets for this is around 85 cents. Okay. Here is that daily OB. Okay. Now, if we close like this in the next, actually we just closed. This is a bearish engulfing candle. All right. Like I said, the last few times we had bearish engulfing candles, we went down. Here's another one. Here's another one. So this has been holding relatively well. But if we are to go down, and I won't be sharing the exact calls I made in the Discord because they're obviously for the Discord, a good area to go long would be this demand zone here. If this doesn't hold, okay, support line there. I honestly think this holds this area. This is also an SR point. So a long around here, most likely spot position because most people can't handle their portfolio being in red for more than 10 minutes before picking up the phone, calling to mom, and crying. So this would be a good area to go long on Fartcoin, which would also be another higher low if we are to come back down and bounce from here. All right, so around 52.9 cents and stops below 48 cents. And target 70 cents from there. All right, I'm already in a spot position, so I won't be over allocating, but I will be adding to my spot positions if we do go down, and those levels, for those that are in the Discord, are shared in my channel. Okay, so these are the only coins that I'm currently interested in, and they will be the only coins that I'm currently interested in. Let's see how this week unfolds. Keep, grinding. If you are, taking a lot more losses than usual, just take some time off. You're not going to miss anything. Commander Cheeto is going to keep the prices for all assets down for the foreseeable future. So if you want to be exposed in the markets, just slowly start buying some coins in DCA on the way down. Leverage is going to be a different animal for the next few weeks to months. So myself, I have my spot positions. I'm waiting for lower. I'll DCA and just see how the market reacts this next quarter. All right. So that's it for me, guys. I will see you guys next week with another update.